Daniel Robinson.
Saturday night, that question on the hearts and minds of Daniel Robinson's family and friends gathered at the state capitol asking for more to be done since the now 25-year-old geologist vanished in the Buckeye Desert.
My son is just not my son. He's also America's son, because this happened to a lot of families.
Since then, his father David organizing search parties hoping to find his son. Volunteers showing up week after week, standing strong with the Robinson family.
Daniel could be any one of us, and so we definitely need to bring awareness to the situation. If we don't speak up for him, and help find him, who will?
Daniel and my son went to the same high school. Felt it was my duty as his neighbor to be here to support him and really try to figure out where Daniel is and bring him home safe.
David's search parties found Daniel's Jeep Renegade rolled over in a ravine, airbags deployed, his clothing found inside out, boots and socks, wallet and laptop, no blood, no signs of injury, no signs of Daniel.
God knows how much we can bear, and at times I feel like I can't really take but so much more.
But in his weakest times, David says it's the volunteers that provide him strength.
Everybody know that I call them my extended family. And so this visual is the same thing. We all here have one common goal, and that's to find Daniel and also to bring light what happened to other families.
As the Robinsons' extended family light candles tonight, their collective light shines towards that day when their question is answered and Daniel comes home. Josh Sanders, 12 News.
Yeah, I'm David Robinson, the father of geologist Daniel Robinson. We're out here to do a candlelight visual on behalf of my son, and also to bring light into other families who are going through similar situations. So thank you. I'm thanking everybody who's out here to support. We need to stand in solidarity to bring attention to this case and to make a statement.
Oh, I'll be your shelter, I'll be your armor. I hear you whisper underneath your breath. I hear your SOS, your SOS. I will send out an army to find you in the middle of the darkest night. It's true, I will rescue you. I will never stop marching to reach you in the middle of the hardest fight. It's true, I will rescue you.
It's now been 10 months since geologist Daniel Robinson went missing in the Buckeye Desert. His dad had been conducting his own searches near where his son's crashed Jeep was found.
Yeah, it's still a mystery, and with his son still missing, he says funding has run dry, and he's going to stop searching, at least for now. Brianna Whitney's been following the case for us, spoke to Daniel's father today. Do we know what comes next?
He doesn't even know what comes next. And I think what's so hard in this case is there's just so much unknown here. And that's what's so hard. His dad made a point to say just because he's pausing his desert searches does not mean he's giving up on the case. Because David Robinson has conducted his own investigation alongside law enforcement, he's working largely off donated funds. He says right now there's just not enough to keep group searches going after 10 months.
June 23rd, 2021. the last time anyone saw Daniel Robinson. Yet his dad, David, keeps one thought in the front of his mind.
My son may still be alive out there somewhere.
David Robinson drove to Arizona from the East Coast after his son went missing from his geology job site in Buckeye last summer. His Jeep found crashed about 3 weeks after. Since then, David has been leading organized desert searches with volunteers several times a month. They've found bones that belong to others, but never Daniel's. David says he relies on GoFundMe dollars to keep his own investigation and searches up, and he says the reality is those funds have run out.
The operations search, the organized search, is on pause for now.
He says while searches are on hold for now, he's focusing on a different part of the investigation, with items found at the Jeep crash site.
One of the biggest parts for me right now is to get the forensics work done for everything else that I found, the clothing, my son's wallet, his cell phone. There's another additional cell phone that was found out there doing my searches close to that area. That phone itself, also the work computer and his personal computer.
David says he's taking his efforts to the next level, filing a 501c3 Tuesday to launch the Daniel Robinson Foundation, where he hopes he can not only raise more money for his own investigation, but can also provide funding to other families dealing with missing loved ones.
The goal is to help other families to not go through the same thing I have been through just to get to this point.
While the Buckeye Police Department has not found evidence of foul play at this point, David says he still believes something criminal happened and says he will stay living in Arizona to see his son's case through.
I'm here until I find my son. That's what the goal is. That's why I'm really fighting. I'm doing everything I can to make sure that happens. I think any father, any mother would do the same.
Buckeye Police tells me Daniel's case is absolutely still active and an ongoing investigation. They're still working on conducting new interviews, looking at satellite imagery, checking financial activity, and working on forensics and targeted searches in that area. Live for now in the studio, Brianna Whitney for Arizona's Family.
A dedicated father, no matter the result in that case. Brianna, thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us. Our big story right now on 12 News at 6. May 23rd will mark 11 months since Daniel Robinson vanished in the Buckeye Desert.
His father moved here from South Carolina and has been leading search efforts almost every weekend. But now he says donations have dried up and he's hitting the pause button on the search.
So what is next? Team 12's Josh Sanders has been following this story from the very beginning and has more.
Sometimes your body want to say, I can't do it no more. But my mind say, I got to keep going.
Nearly every weekend for the last 10 months, David Robinson has been here, searching the Buckeye Desert with volunteers, hundreds showing up to look for his son Daniel.
10 months is a long time. Every day is that same thing over and over again. Daniel's still out there missing.
He's organized hundreds of search groups, using drones and other technology to canvass miles of desert terrain around the crash site of Daniel's 2017 blue Jeep Renegade. Daniel's clothing found inside out, boots and socks, wallet and laptop. No blood, no signs of injury, no signs of Daniel. He hired a private investigator and collision expert.
After the airbags came out, somebody turned that ignition over at least 46 more times.
David's teams even found human remains, but not Daniel's. Funding generated through a GoFundMe account. More than $250,000 raised through thousands of donors.
Everybody made that possible for me to remain here. Started off with roughly 200 people coming out there on weeks to go out there and search with me. That number has dramatically dropped. I'd be lucky if I get 20.
But that funding has now run dry, leading David to temporarily pause the desert searches.
The stress of the demands of trying to get the forensics work done on the vehicles and the clothing and everything else. Then I had to take away some of the equipment that's very vital and crucial.
Buckeye police do not have evidence pointing to foul play. Despite pausing the searches, David remains determined to find his son and help others with missing loved ones. He's in the early stages of establishing a foundation in Daniel's name to support other families with similar stories.
It's a non-stop deal for me. I want to make sure that the same thing that I have gone through don't happen to another family. So if I can help it.
Josh Sanders, 12 News.
My name is Daniel Robinson. I attend AC Flora, and I'm planning to major in geology at College of Charleston.
Good job. When the lights and camera turn off, I will be here. When the interest and conversation fade, I will be here. When there's no one around, a father will do anything it takes to be there for his son, to protect his family.
Daniel Robinson went missing 4 months ago. This is the last photo his family has of him. He's a 24-year-old geologist, last seen leaving his job site in Buckeye, Arizona.
As the Gabby Petito homicide case garners national attention, another young person has been missing for nearly 3 months, and his family is desperate to find him. 24-year-old Daniel Robinson, a geologist, was last seen on the morning of June 23rd, leaving his work site in the desert of Buckeye, Arizona.
David Robinson had only one thought on his mind as he drove the nearly 1,800 miles from his South Carolina home to Phoenix.
I had to find my son. And I will not stop until. Thank you guys for coming in to today's Q&A this morning. Again, my name is David Robinson, the father of geologist Daniel Cornelius Robinson. My son, Daniel, is a graduate of the College of Charleston in Charleston, South Carolina. My son took the degree in geology. He graduated with honors. He decided to take his career in his beginning of his adulthood to Arizona, where he started off in Phoenix, Arizona, and then ended up in Tempe, Arizona. Once he was in Arizona, he landed his first job immediately at the college. He worked for a company, an engineering company called Matrix New World. It was also called Matrix Southwest Groundwater. There, my son's job is he's hired on as a field geologist, also called a hydrogeologist. And what he does is he goes to these various well sites, different places in Arizona, out there in the desert, most times, and usually be the communities that's going future communities that will be built by law in Arizona. These communities have to have these wells, and for the wells have to supply at least 100 years of water. And my son's job is to determine that, and also to check the water levels, and also check the rock settlements that come out of the wells after they've been drilled. So again, my son, he was working on June the 23rd, where he went to 2 well sites. One at around 7 o'clock that morning. The second was around 9. He did communicate with a worker from a company called Weber from the second well site to find out where the location was at. Once my son got the location, according to this worker, they met on the Sun Valley Parkway roadway. Once my son had a conversation with him, according to this worker, my son followed him into the desert. They drove 1 mile west and then 2 miles north to get to the well site. Upon arriving on the well site, they had a conversation that lasted roughly 10 minutes, according to this worker. And from that point, my son waved off to him, drove off, and to never be seen again. Almost 30 days later, my son's vehicle showed up in this ravine behind me. It's a 20-foot ravine. Is on the side there, missing a driver's door window, and also the sunroof panel was kicked out, and my son's clothing, everything he's wearing on his body appears to be his clothing. We still have forensic work that had to be done on it to determine that, but it appears to be his clothing 3 feet away from the vehicle in a pile, and also the safety vest that had to be determined forensically if those are correct. But as it stands, that's what we have to believe that that's Daniel's clothing 3 feet away from the vehicle in the pile. And like I said, the safety vest, his boots. One was on the side of the roof side here, and the other side on the side of the wheels there. And also inside the vehicle was my son's cell phone, the very cell phone that the family and I, we've been calling for a little over a day, that constantly ring with no answer, and then finally going to voicemail. Was inside that vehicle. His keys, his work laptop, that he get his assignments on, things like that. Articles was in that vehicle. So, but there was no indication of to where Daniel have been. According to the Buckeye Police Department, who have done, they say they have done 2 searches before this vehicle was found, and they came up empty-handed. They covered this area twice and came up empty. We had the rancher who found the vehicle there on the 19th of July. Say the vehicle wasn't there 2 to 3 days prior, and so we have those indications to say that the vehicle was placed there or made it to that resting place well after Daniel went missing. So, having said that, it's been a rough ride for me and my family. My deal is I decided to come out to Arizona, and that was based on my putting in my missing person report. I first tried to reach out to Tempe, Arizona. That's where my son's residence, to put in that missing person report. They pushed me over to the Buckeye Police Department, and when I did that, of course, I had to wait an extra 3 hours before I can put in that report, because it's a 12-hour time when you can, put a missing person report in. So I waited 3 hours. Of course, not knowing what's going on, didn't have really too much information. Only thing I had at that point is that my son, nobody heard from him. I try to make sure I keep my family calm, keep myself calm about the situation. The only thing that was really troubling to me once I realized that Daniel been missing over 6 hours, like nobody heard from him over 6 hours. That's something that Daniel wouldn't do. Of course, that really pushed me to that point of putting in missing person report. So like I said, with the Tempe first, because that's his residence. And then from there, they pushed me to the Buckeye Police Department to put in missing person report. From that point, the officer Cruz, who was working at night, did tell me they couldn't, he was going to go on the Sun Valley Parkway area, because he said that's the name of the road. That's the first time I heard the road near the White Tank Mountains there. He's going to ride up and down the road to see if he's in that area. Happened to be on the side of the road. I felt a little relieved until while he was doing that, I talked to the workers of my son's company, and they said indeed he was inside the desert off of that west of that White Tank Mountains. Did call Officer Bat, did request it for them to go out in that desert to search for my son. I was alerted they couldn't do it because it's nighttime. I had to suck that up and go ahead and agree with that. So, okay, well, they said they was going to do it in the morning, first thing in the morning early. I have a helicopter out there to search for my son. I was really relieved. But at the same time, of course, I'm not getting to sleep until this time come up. The next morning did come. I did get a call from Officer Haley, I believe his name was, and he told me that, yes, he was taking over from for Officer Cruz that was working the night shift, and that he heard about the report. He put his information in, and that he said they was going to send a helicopter out to search for my son. Waiting on the results of that to see what happened. An hour later, he called me back and said the flight was canceled. It was unauthorized because his higher ups said if Daniel, Daniel wanted, he's a grown man. If he wanted to leave, he can. If he wanted to disappear, he can. So that type of rhetoric for me was enough to say that this department was not going to look for my son. So that indeed gave me the thought, hey, I had to go do it myself. Grabbed everything I can and started heading to Phoenix. So that's my deal, how I made it up to Arizona. Like I said, it's been a long ride for my family and I. We've been going through some ups and downs. Once I made it to Phoenix, I grabbed my daughter. She also lives in Arizona, and she and I would go around and do everything we can to try to find answers to what happened to Daniel. We tried to work with the Buckeye Police Department to give everything we can, from passwords to this phone, not to the phone, but to his accounts, or try to get information, I guess, to give them from the accounts. So we provide a lot of things. Once the vehicle was found and the phone was found, we gave them the passwords, like I said, to those phones. So we're doing a lot to try to work with that department. We was out there. Some indications was troubled me when I first started to get suspicions about the department of actually doing work. Came from the worker when I questioned him to his account. I just wanted to hear from his mouth what I was told by the officers. And one of those things that he did not actually see a Firebird helicopter or any helicopter in the air the day that the Buckeye Police Department said they was going to do that search. And also, he was at the well site, and there was no officer that ever came to the well site that day. So that kind of made me question the search itself. And from that point, that's when things started getting kind of rocky when it's terms of credibility and things like that. I did come out for the second time because of that. When I did hear the Buckeyes say they was going to do their second search was almost a week and a half later with Silver Air Patrol. That was on July the 9th. And I was out there to make sure they did show up, which they have. Of course, when I got there, I was there way before they showed up, and with two other people, and my daughter's one. And so we made it there and just waited on the Buckeye Police Department to do the search. They did show up, the Silver Air Patrol. I did talk to the detectives, but I told them, hey, I want to go in there to help search. They didn't want me to do it. He said, no, you're not. I guess I wasn't allowed to. So they made sure that I didn't go in the gate to follow them to go search for my son. They had one of the Silver Air Patrol guys to block the gate with his vehicle, so I couldn't come in. So I sat out there on the roadway the entire time. I did watch one aircraft. I recorded a lot. One aircraft, one fixed wing aircraft that did one pass by every direction going north. And then once that was done. The search was pretty much done. They came back the same day, gave me a map that says that they searched to show the area where they searched, and also that they didn't find anything. So again, it was really rough for the family to go through all of this. We been out there to search. My daughter used to come out to the searches. I had my other daughter from her and her husband from California to come out to a search. But it dawned on me after a while, that's during the time when, the desert heat, it was out there, it's 120 degrees some days. And it came to a point where, I had to make decisions about my family, especially my children. Like I said before, man's responsibility is to take care and provide for his family, but also protect them mentally and spiritually and everything else. So with that, I did notice that my daughters ended up finding some animal remains. It was cattle. They was really worried about it. The call on the radio got to their location, and just seeing their face, seeing the remains of cattle out there, they was really afraid. And one of the daughters had mentioned that, she was glad it wasn't Daniel. But that's when it dawned on me that they don't need to be out there in the searches out there, because the only thing they need to see and remember about Daniel is the way they remember him. And if God forbid he's out there, that's not what they need to see. So for those who wondered about that in the past, I just threw that out there because sometimes people did ask about my daughter being there, things like that. Daughters being there, that's one of the things I asked them not to do, is come to the desert searches at the time, because it's something I don't want to happen. My job is to go find my son. I'm out there. I was out there working really hard with the volunteers. We all out working really hard out there to locate Daniel. See, first, like I said, it was a rescue mission. And then, ended up turning out, just realistically turned out to be a recovery up until this point now, very much recovery. As you know, everybody knows now that the searches have been paused for now. I want to put that up there on the bottom of the screen. It has been paused for now, but it's not ended. I just want to make sure that's clear. I did have the clip in there before the Q&A that will, the wording. The word is very important. It's on pause. It's not canceled, or I did not stop searching for my son. Some of those searches had to be done by myself with a few select people. But as in a coordinated search right now is on pause because I'm very responsible. much as I really, really have to find my son for my sake, my family's sake, and his sake, his honor and everything else, if he's out there, I still don't have the desire or anything to put anybody at risk. The volunteers, to everybody who come out there, their family to me, also my extended family. I want to make sure everything's in proper order and things like that. So I had to make some decisions about equipment and things like that. I had one person come on last Q&A and said that searches, why do I need money for the searches? Like I said, I haven't seen not one law enforcement being able to do any kind of search out there without resources. We need resources for many various reasons to do the searches properly, and also to for volunteers' sake, for my sake. I know a lot of law enforcement searches wouldn't be volunteer, but for my sake, for volunteers' sakes, I had to make sure certain equipments are there. I had to make sure, like I said, the searches are done properly, and there's some other things that have to be taken care of. So having that to happen, and I did try to conserve money by having the searches every other week. That did not work out the way I would like to. After having some meetings with some of the deserts, I call them out there in the desert team out there, the desert team. Had to make some hard decisions about the searches, and also based on the fact that I am still currently raising the funds up to make sure I have everything for the forensic work that had to be done on the scene, that wasn't done on the scene, that had to be done. So I make sure that is in proper order. So everything has its reasons, the way I have to do things. And you guys can imagine, after trying to manage everything from that, trying to get the money for the forensics, and also to keep everything else going, as in terms of awareness and things like that, the flyer distributions and stuff like that. Really had to keep those going. So I really appreciative of you guys for being a part of that part of that effort to keep me, first of all, in Arizona. I had to keep my boots on the ground. I like to say boots on the ground, military. So I have to, I'm a retired military, but I'm still military for life. And, keep the boots on the ground in search for my son. You guys have kept me in Arizona to being able to do so. I'm really grateful for that. That's one of the needs that I had. Also is to remain in Arizona, to be on ground zero to help search my son. So you guys have been helping with that portion, and like I said, everything else that come outside of that. So I'm really grateful to you. I'm grateful to the media, the local media, especially, like I said, Josh Sanders, one of the champions at the beginning. Nicole Griggs, also one of the champions at the beginning, to reach out to me when I was reaching out. They reached back to me and made sure that my son's story got out all over locally, which translated to other local channels and organizations reaching out, was translated from that point. Working hard for 3 months, utilizing social media and some other aspects that I've been using, sending emails, text messages alike, and then my son's case ultimately made it on a national side. So it's been very helpful. I just want to tell everybody who's had a part of making awareness to my son's case, get it to a point where people are aware. That's all people aware, but there's many people that still don't know what's going on in my son's case. They haven't even heard the story. I was just at the VA yesterday, for an appointment, and they haven't heard of Daniel's story. So I was able to give out the flyers. Like I said, that's the reason why we have the flyers. The flyers is great for many reasons. To get in these facilities is, they may not be able to give you answers to certain things. Of course, I was at the VA yesterday, so definitely have nothing to do with Daniel itself. But what I'm saying as an example is, be able to get in these facilities, give flyers, and the workers. When I gave the flyers to the workers there, they were stunned. They at work every day. They really probably don't get to watch news, so they don't know what's going on. And just to be able to spread the word, they say they was really eager and happy to be able to get on social media and share Daniel's story. And so my goal is to get Daniel's story out on this whole entire country. This is a big country, many people, millions and millions upon millions of people, to try to reach, because it could be that one person. Like I said, in my mind, it could be that one person who knows something or heard something about Daniel that day he went missing, or know some person related to why Daniel's missing, things like that. Can hear the story, get wind of that I'm looking for Daniel, get wind that he's actually missing. It jog their memory. Sometimes people need something to jog their memory, and they would come forward. Again, you guys already know I got the anonymous tip line that's scroll on the bottom there for people who want to be able to share what they know, the knowledge and things like that. It's 24 hours, 7 days a week. Tip line, I provide that service. I pay for that. It's 24 hours, 7 days a week. Like I said, live operators really eager to take your tip. You can remain anonymous if you like. If you don't want to talk to anyone, that number can be used as on your cell phone. You can text the word tip to that number, and then you can still be able to stay anonymous if you like. You don't have to speak to anyone. You can go ahead and put your information there. What you do know, just follow the form. Also, I have provided, my public cell phone number, and that's right there on the bottom of the screen for people who just want to talk directly to me for any reason. Any reason want to talk directly to me, So, you have an opinion or a suggestion. I'm not an expert at none of this. Unfortunately, I'm getting better at it based on just trying to find my son. I'm just a father trying to find Daniel. And from that, things have been changing. For instance, I would never be a person that want to get in front of a camera and do what I'm doing, but I'm out here pushing it. Talking, doing Q&A, started a YouTube channel. Thank God I keep throwing it up, and I have to. Gisela K from Grizzly True Crime, who helped me get it up and running. So I'm doing this for a reason, to get Daniel's story out there, to make sure I'm providing my own platform for my son, and to get his story out there when media can no longer do it, only on the times where they can. So that's what I'm here for. Also, you go to pleasehelpfinddaniel.com for all the information you need concerning my son's case, the events and things like that. We have the events tab. We have a major event coming up pretty soon. It's coming up to a year that my son has been missing. Here it is a few days from now, 3 days from now. My son would have been missing for 11 months. Of course, we have on the 25th, I will have in 5 days, we have the fast and prayer for Daniel. Wednesday on the next Q&A on that Wednesday next week. Asking you guys to join in for that. That would be, like I say, on the 25th, fast and prayer for Daniel. If y'all can use the hashtag fast and prayer for Daniel, that would help also the algorithms going on, get the word out. The more people I can get joined in on that fast and prayer, the better. So if you guys can, please use that hashtag. And also, if you could join in on that Q&A, I'll do the prayer first. And from the prayer, we'll just go on with the fast and prayer. And then the evening's Q&A, Q&A prime time, that's when I do the ending prayer to close it out. So, but like I said, I don't give a time limit. Even when I do the closeout, that's just for the sake of the Q&A, because the Q&A only comes, I have it at 5:30. So I do the closing for the fast and prayer then. But if you want to continue to go on from that point, we can, because that's what we do. But that let everybody make that judgment call on themselves. Your health, your needs and things like that. So, but I do notice that we do the fast and prayer together. That's some unity, show unity and strength, and I'm relying on that. Also, like I said, you go to pleasehelpfinddaniel.com and hit the volunteer in other ways tab on the front page there. There's a form that you can fill out. A lot of people have already. We do have your information there. Everybody know I have a foundation filed, Daniel Robinson Foundation. So, those things would be useful in the future as well. So also there's a PDF on the front page for everyone. I was asking for people who want to be an ambassador for your city, a volunteer ambassador for the flyer distribution. So, if you guys want to reach out to me and put the information, also you can use the same thing on that tab, help in other ways tab, and just put in parentheses or something there. You want to be an ambassador for your city and tell what city that is. So I can get those information together and talk to you and give you more information on what I'm trying to do, and see if you want to be a part of that. If you have an interest in it, that's what I'm saying. That's definitely, you can put that information there, and that way I can have a small meeting with you, and that way we can talk about and discuss the ins and outs of that. So I'm looking for that. But if you guys just want to just go ahead and use the PDF, you can. The PDF there is on the page. You can get print that out, and I like to make them the size of the postcards, and that's what I use that PDF for, the print shop, and have those printed out But, saying as it stand here, only thing that's more important is to get those flyers out. So, like I said, if you guys just want to just print them out and pass them out in your areas and your neighborhoods, no matter where you live. Even if some of you that live in other countries, if you want to pass them out there. So I'm really, really just wherever, because, I don't know what happened that day. Like I said, the person probably saw something and moved somewhere else, and we don't know what that somewhere else is. And just the fact that most people haven't heard of Daniel's story, though it went nationally, that's the opportunity to reach those persons. So, just wanted to make sure that I get those out. Thank you all for coming out to this Q&A and support my efforts to find my son, support my family for my efforts of standing in the gap for them to bring awareness to my son's case and to help me out there when, saying out there in the searches. So, and everything else, follow leads and everything else. I just wanted to say also, y'all keep signing that petition. That numbers right here on the bottom screen may be inaccurate some, but it's approximate close to where it's at now. I didn't get to check it this morning, but it was last I've seen it was at 115,000 voices, 115,000, almost 116,000 voices of people who of you all who's part of this whole family of Finding Daniel, Team Daniel, I call it. And you guys can definitely sign this petition multiple times. So that's the voice is louder. All you do is have to have multiple email addresses. So don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe to this channel. You guys have got me to 1,000 subscribers really quickly, and that's a plus. That's really huge and big for a brand new YouTube channel. And you guys, like I said, when I first started, I have no clue about YouTube or how it really works. YouTube for me in the past was to share videos with my families, utilize it that way, and also how to do something. How to get my computer to do something or whatever. Just look up something and how to do stuff, how to do something around the house. How to put a camera, install a camera on your house or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's what YouTube is for in my behalf until this happened to my son. I found out later, just talking to some of the content creators, like I said, like Gizla True Crime, Gizla K, and also John Q and Q Carlot, and also Kendall Ray. Those people who lend their YouTube channels and podcasts and things like that. It's many more I didn't name, but just utilize their platform to help spread awareness on Daniel's case. So that gave me an opportunity and thought, say, wait a minute, I can do the same thing for Daniel's case. Also, just go ahead and make a channel there so I can spread the word. This is a great opportunity. Some people do it for a living. This channel is for just spread awareness for Daniel's case. So that's why you hear some of the same things over and over again, because it is about Daniel's case. Also, I want to be able to utilize this platform to help other families. So I have been reaching out to other families, a lot of family members. I get it, because like I said at the beginning, I don't like being in front of the camera like that, and it's very hard. So that's exactly what they express, their nervousness, being in front of the camera and things like that. So I understand it, because I was in that position. I had to put that drive there to do it for my son. So and unfortunately, I'm getting better at it. So over time, and gotten used to it. So that's what happens. But thank you everybody for coming in. If you guys have a question, please put the word question there before your question. That's what the Q&A is for. If you have, like I said, if you have that question, put the word question there first, a big capital letter Q or some question marks. That would definitely help me see your question as I'm coming down the comment section. I would like to say good morning to just a few people. I like to try to get everybody, but for time's sakes, I will just say thank you all for coming this morning. I will reach out, say something to some of you that I can, like Lindsay. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, thank you so much for coming out to Crime Con, and thank you for being a part out there. So I'm really grateful for you and your support. Thank you so much. God bless you, and thank you for being here off of Facebook. I just want to tell you all, like I said, Thanks for being here, and I'm trying to get as many as I can. Thank you, Twistina, for being here this morning. Good morning to you. Thank you, Ruthie, for being here. Thank you, Barry, for being here. God bless you for everything you do. Thank you, Esther, for being here. Thank you, D-Love, for being here. I really appreciate you coming out this morning, being a part of this Q&A. T and the Wildflowers, thank you so much for being here. I just really, Tub 83, grateful for you being here. Let me see if I can click on that. But thank you for being here this morning. Sheroes Nation, thank you so much. And I'm really looking forward to some of your questions that you may have. Your questions have a lot of logic to it. I really appreciate it. All right. Thank you, Shauna B, for everything you do in the background as well, being part of the team. So thanks so much for being here. God bless you too. Also, Some Beach, thanks for being here. Nikki O'Shea for being here. Just continue on if you guys have any questions. Sophia, thank you for being here. I'm happy to see you as well, being a part of that team and everything you do in the background. God bless you. So, again, I'm really happy to see you guys come out again and support being part of this channel. Don't forget to hit that like, share, subscribe button to be able to spread awareness in Daniel's story. Reach out to more people, get those algorithms going. So, Rachel Arnold, thank you so much. Get those algorithms going to keep Daniel's story alive. So also and awareness. Rachel Arnold for being here. Thank you so much. Kathy for being here. Jocelyn for being here. I really appreciate it. All right. I did see a question that was coming up, but I'm going to put something first here. What Shauna got here. Are you interested in finding out what it means to be an ambassador in your city? Sign up at pleasehelpfinddaniel.com under None Search Volunteer. And that's exactly, if you guys can do that, you want to find out more information about it, you can do that. I would rather want to have like a little small Zoom meeting with you and get you the ins and outs. So if you are already on the list, please send the email. Yes, that's right. So we can send that link to you. So thank you, Shauna. Thank you for being part of the team. I really appreciate you being here this morning, also in the moderator. Thank you, team members, for putting that out, also for being part of the moderation in the back. I do have the first question. Lost it there for a second. I do have the first question from Twistina. Thank you, Twistina, for being here this morning, coming in from the YouTube side. Really grateful. If the Buckeye Police Department thinks Daniel just left on his own, what will it take to get them to change him, I guess, his status to a missing person in danger? It just takes them to say it. It takes them to, do the right thing is what I would like to say. My investigator, as in the reconstructionist, read their own pool from the black box data and gave them all the information that I guess they didn't know how to read it when they gave it to them, but he gave them the information from that. We already know what's happening at the scene. You can just look at that, the suspiciousness of that troubling. But also the 11 additional miles on the vehicle, like I said, the red transfer paint that didn't come from that desert. The fact that the rancher said that the vehicle wasn't there 2 to 3 days prior, to back his story up, the Buckeye Police Department searched that area, they say, heavily twice, and the vehicle wasn't there. So that backs his story up. And also the fact that, like I said, a sock of my son was found near the well site 2 weeks or so after the Buckeye Police Department collected everything from that scene. It matched a sock in their evidence bag. It was Daniel's sock that was found out there. And also the fact that, like I said, everything that was left in the vehicle, and the fact that we just don't know, there was no forensic work done on the scene. And, so we still had to have those items, his clothing, even show that if it's Daniel's clothing or not. Because of all those unknown things, also that because of the lack of work they have done at the scene, that department, saying all of that should point to Daniel's case being changed over to, like you said, to at least a person in danger based on their own statement. The Buckeye Police feel like that he had a severe head injury, a brain injury. and wandered off in the desert. But yet they gave me everything that belongs to him. So based on that, hey, that's an endangered person. But they didn't see it that way. But it's like I said, the only thing they can do is change it over that way. But at this point, I'm not really asking the Buckeye Police Department to do any more. In my opinion, they did enough damage to my son's case, and I'm really hoping and I'm really pushing and working behind the scenes to get a different department to handle my son's case. It should go to a different department. That jurisdiction, that Buckeye Police Department should have no hands on my son's case any longer. If they want to do the right thing would be to move my son's case over to another department who can do it properly, work, and try to repair some of the damage that's already been done. So that's what I'm looking for. Thank you, Twistina, for that. Also, I just want to throw this out real quick because I did see it. Kathy put up that fast and prayer for Daniel. If you guys can still continue to put that hashtag up there, it'll be very helpful in terms of getting the algorithms going to back up what we're going to be doing on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday. So, all right, here we go. Is a question here from Barry. Thank you, Barry. Also, like I said, team member working in the back there, moderating. I really appreciate you. Has the city of Tempe reached out to you out of concern or to offer assistance? Well, I did have a meeting with the mayor of Tempe and also one of the assistant chiefs out there in Tempe. One of the biggest things with Tempe, yes, that during that meeting, the mayor he offered his help, and also like I said, assistant chief. So I'm still pending. Those things are still pending. I didn't hear back from them on those, so I will be checking back with that. But one of the things that was brought to my attention is the fact that my son is a resident of Tempe, and I did try to put in the missing persons report with the Tempe Police Department. And from what I'm understanding is they should have been taking charge. My son is their resident, but I was told at the time that because he was last seen in Buckeye area, that's who I need to put the report in. And I was told that by the Tempe Police Department. However, I'm hearing little discrepancies about that, and I'm really checking into that. But as in them reaching out, I'm waiting on, like I said, from results from a meeting I had with their mayor and one of the assistant chief. My attorney and I had a meeting with them. So thank you so much for that question, Barry. I really appreciate it. I do have a question here from. Again, if you guys have questions, you can use a big question mark. That helps out a lot. And I can see that, and I really appreciate it. Barry also for doing that. Barbara Kinney, thank you for being here this morning off YouTube. A lot going on for me lately. How did Crime Con in Vegas go? Was it helpful? It was very helpful. And thank you for being here. Good. And I'm sorry, that a lot is going on. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. But I understand, it's a lot be happening right now, staying very busy. But I can say, yes, Crime Con is a blessing. Was a blessing, but I still got the Crime Con hat on. You probably can't see that because of the green screen behind me. But it's a blessing to be able to get Danes. First of all, we took 12,000 flyers out there to get out in all over Vegas. Vegas is an area, a place, a city that people come from all over. So to me, I'm really smiling about that. We was able to get the flyers out, and also we had these business cards the size of the flyers of the size of a business card to be able to give out to some of the people that was in the green room. I was the speaker there, so I was able to have access to a lot of people who was speakers there at the Crime Con event, and so to be able to make it easier for them, people. To be able to put in their wallets and things like that. Made a little small ones, but got a lot of those out. We had 12,000 flyers got out. And just the fact of that, have many people that be able to get out in that place. That's my first time being in Vegas. I drove through Vegas before and back in the day driving the truck. But as in just sitting in Vegas is my first time. And so just to see all the amount of people who come there in that city, and to be able to get those flyers out there, oh man, it was fantastic. Because passing out the flyers in the cities here in Arizona is a little different from doing it there. There's a lot more people to be able to pass it out to, so it was helpful. Also, the fact that the nature of the true crime community for CrimeCon is very kind people. They're very engaged and very willing and ready to help. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them heard of Daniel's story. They wanted to come out and see me speak about Daniel's story. And I'm really grateful for the receptive. You know, they've been very receptive and been able to take those flyers. I was able to talk to a lot of podcasts there, do some instant interviews on the spot. I have some interviews still pending because of that, people podcasts and things like that. So just getting Daniel's story out there. I mean, it's like really getting out there. And also I was able to meet some I'm getting ready to go on the shows, Nancy Grace show, meeting their people out there, being able to meet some other shows out there, people I got in contact with to be able to share Daniel's story. So just meeting a lot of people, being able to tell Daniel's story, get out on stage and tell Daniel's story. It's fantastic. It's a very, very great experience. So hopefully I can go back on. I did get an offer. I did get a good grade. They do some type of grading system. I did see that last night. They sent me an email, and it was really, like I said, a good response back on Daniel's story, and also the fact that I am pushing to be on their next CrimeCon in Orlando. So trying to go ahead and put in for that also. But thank you so much, Barbara, for being here this morning. I do have another question from Barry. Thank you, Barry, for your question. All right. The question is, did Daniel employers state when their last verbal conversation was with Daniel? No, they did not tell me. I do know that he didn't go in the office that day. So that's why I'm really getting at, when the police department put in their report that the coworker said Daniel been acting odd or something out of other. But Daniel he's a field geologist. He have that title for a reason. He had that work computer that was found in the vehicle for a reason, that work laptop, because he's a field geologist. My son even explained it to me when he's, you guys, my son was building a computer days. He just finished that thing pretty much days before he went missing. And he's proud of it. He finally got it done. I'm a computer engineer major. And he's asking me a lot of questions to get it built. He's very proud. He did it himself. And people who's had done things and have plans do not go missing. But like I said, he definitely did not have a conversation with them outside of. I did, according to some information I know, based on his phone and things like that. Yeah, they did have probably a phone call and a text or something like that. But other than that, he wasn't in the office. But as in the conversation wise, yeah, I'm sure they had some type of conversation that morning because it was early based on that 7 o'clock. I do know because of that on phone wise, but in person, no, it wasn't in person, but definitely had some contact with his job that morning. All right. So thank you also, Mr. Farmer, Larnell, for being here, being part of the team, being part of that board. I really appreciate you being here this morning, helping out in the chats. All right. Also, Kimberly, thank you for your question. And you guys, that question mark, like I said, helped. The word question, bit letter Q, that helps as I'm coming down. Question, did his clothes look like he wore them for 30 days or that they had been laying on the ground for that time? Seems like they would be really dirty if so. My former investigator, he did not show me those clothes. I did see a video that he put out on some channels and stuff like that, showing people Daniel's clothes, what is allegedly is Daniel's clothes. To this date, we don't even know if that was Daniel's clothing or if it belonged to someone else. And the reason why I say that is because, first of all, my daughter, she sees him a lot more than I do here in Arizona, because she's in Arizona. But I was in South Carolina with Daniel missing. So if he was about clothes and things like that, some things, his outfits, I wouldn't know. So it was never been verified that it was Daniel's clothing from any standpoint from the family, identifying that, and also the fact that there was no forensic work done to prove that it was Daniel's clothes. So we're only assuming, first of all, those are Daniel's clothes. The other part is, one of the biggest parts is that, like I said, the investigator haven't shown me those. I stay away from all those forensic stuff. I stay away from the vehicle. That's his job as an investigator to do all of that. Only thing I've seen from that clothing, as in examine it, I wouldn't know. I have never been close to it to be able to examine it. I never taken the clothing out of a bag or anything like that. So I wouldn't know. But what I'm saying is, was about to say is that also in my searches, we have found clothing in the same manner. Somebody's jeans, the underwear, the sock, all that in the pile, the shoes in the pile, not too far from the well site. So at that point, when we found those things, those are kind of things you would not see in the Buckeye Police Department, despite their report, despite us finding those things out there in the desert and reporting it to them, whether it's the human remains, whether it's the clothing items, other items that have been found out there. The things that we turn into that department, you don't see it on their report. You know, I'm sure they try and take credit for those things, but you won't see it on their report. But we found those things. And when I seen the pile of clothing, my investigator, he examined those. And one of the big, when I say examine, they took a lot of pictures. We didn't touch it. Of course, we have made sure that's one of the protocols of my searches is not to touch anything, but we take pictures and try to not disturb the area around it in case the Buckeye Police Department under their jurisdiction had to come in to, like I said, do that type of work they do. But I haven't ever seen them do it but one time. But, you know, like I said, the clothing at the time we saw that, the first thing I'm thinking is this clothing in the same manner what I see on the pictures there of my son clothing. And I was thinking at the time that maybe a serial killer could be running around that area. And that really concerned me because why would it be the same manner someone else's clothing? The reason why I knew it wasn't Daniel's clothes because of the pant size was too big. Whoever this person was a large male. And on the pants size of the pants or whatever on the tag. So I just wanted to tell you that no, I don't know what the clothes look like, how they've been worn, or they look like they've been out there for 30 days and things like that. I can tell you the sock that was found near the well site now, it was sun bleached. You know, if guys, you know what sun bleach is. If any clothing item, you can have a umbrella from like on your patio or something. If it sit in the sun and start changing colors, kind of get white, that's sun bleach. And so the sock that was found out there was starting to show signs of sun bleach, but it did ultimately match the clothing, the sock that was in the evidence bag. So, all right. Next question here I have from Kathy. Thank you again, Kathy, for being here this morning and being part of this Q&A. I've been knowing you for a long while. Really grateful you continually to come out support. Was anything missing from Daniel's wallet? You know, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know what Daniel had in his wallet. I don't know if he had cash in his wallet and it's missing. That's some of the things that we don't know. Those are some of the questions was asked. You know, I wouldn't know what Daniel had in his wallet and what would have been missing. I can say, according to his, for instance, that bank statement, for instance, his cards, stuff like that don't appear to be missing or things like that. You know, I don't know if he had any credit cards that could have been missing or something. Certain things I wouldn't know. Like I said, I wouldn't know, but we do have his wallet, and well, I do have his wallet, and some of those things that, like I said, the forensics have to be done on those things also. His wallet, his credit cards, or whatever, bank cards, whatever is in there, have to be tested. So, all right. And if you guys have any questions, you can do the same manner. Use the question marks or the big question, the word question there. For me to help find the questions that are coming out of the comment section. I do have one from Barry. Thank you again, Barry, for your question. Did Weber, employee, explain why he didn't immediately call the police as opposed to driving the desert? You know, one of the things that puzzles me, if my son have, and I know this based on the phone records, and I can put this out. One thing is, my son supposedly, according to him, left the well site a little after 9. There's there around 9, and we can say if it was 10 minutes, I give him 9:15. I give him 9:15, 9:10, 9:15. My son left that well site, and over that time, he got his story is he went to go. There's 2 stories I heard from 2 different officers. One officer said he told them that he took it upon himself to go out and search for Daniel because he is one if he's coming back. The second officer told me that he said the employees, Daniel's job called, inquiring about him, and that was prompting him to go search for Daniel. But he told me himself verbally that he just took it upon himself, like the other officer said, to go search for Daniel, right? Now, one of the things I do know is why, if you're that concerned about my son, why would you not call a cell phone? You know, you talk to him to give him directions to the location to get there. If I had worried about somebody that's been missing or something, or they left for whatever reason, I was, that's kind of strange. I wonder if they okay or whatever. Yeah, I would have called a job first, and I would have been say, hey, y'all employee, you need to check on him. I think something's strange. And the second thing I would have done is call that employee, that number of Daniel. You talked to him multiple times. And I do know that morning before early. So that's the first thing you do, right? You call that person instead of going looking for him. Why don't you just call them? Simple as that. See if they answer their phone. He didn't do that. He waited till late, and I can tell you some things, but he waited late to try to do that. So that's some of the things that will be, if you ask the questions, why would a person do that? That type of stuff. So, and then it goes on with some of the other things. But yeah, I don't know why he didn't immediately call, but he did tell me. And he even said on the Paramount thing, he kind of like stood to the side and said to himself some things about the point that Daniel's, I guess, in his head missing. But he, like he told me, he went to go do it. He stayed left those tracks because he knew the police was gonna come looking, and this thing was going to get big and go national, turn national. So whatever he meant by that, and telling me that, I don't know to this date, but it's kind of ironic that this thing did go nationally. So, all right, here's the question from D Love. Question, Mr. Robinson, was there a tow truck in the area around the time Daniel's vehicle turned up? I do not know. In fact, the Buckeye Police Department did not tell me that Daniel's vehicle was found on July the 19th. They told me on the 20th, over 24 hours before they alerted me about. And I'm gonna tell you something. That's one thing I forgot to tell you, and this is on the recorded testimony too. The rancher said the first thing they told him when they got on the scene, the Buckeye Police Department said, first of all, he was mad because they sold it. He said, don't speak to the media about it, and don't tell the family. Don't tell the family that this vehicle was found. And that's one thing I do have him saying. And just dawned on me just now. And that's one thing this rancher did tell me, that the Buckeye Police Department told him. Don't tell the family. And they didn't tell me. They didn't tell me for almost over 24 hours that the vehicle was found. And that's problematic for me, especially when I was out there on the scene in their jurisdiction, finding human remains. Before the vehicle found, we found human remains. And also been out there in the desert on the weekdays and on the weekends. Had to organize searches on the weekend and out there on the weekdays, searching for my son. And so they know I was on the ground searching for him. They know I was calling them. They know I was providing what I can to try to help them find my son. And don't tell me that the vehicle was found. That was purposely done. For whatever reason, it was purposely done. So that's one thing he did tell me also as well. All right. So as in for your question, I wouldn't know if any tow truck was around. On the tow truck I know was around the day my son's vehicle showed up. It's the one that they called to pick my son's vehicle up. And I can tell you, the company that did that, the red transfer paint, didn't come from that. They don't have any. They never in their history had red truck. And we tried to see if there was some type of way by them picking up the vehicle that it rubbed against the vehicle or something, or in some kind of way where the red transfer paint came from, other than outside the desert. So it wasn't from a tow truck. We ruled that out. All right, Kimberly, thank you for being here this morning. Question mark: are you going to be on Nancy Grace? Yes, I am. They're doing. We're doing that sometime next week. This week coming. So really looking forward to that. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be able to be on the show. So, all right. Thanks so much for that. God bless you. And y'all look forward to that also. All right. Let's see if I have. I'm going to put this comment there from Amber. So sorry. We have been dealing with sickness after sickness and plan not working out. Question. Will there be a search flyer this weekend? There will be we're asking out a search, but the search is on pause, but there will be a flyer distribution this weekend. So same place as go, please help find Daniel.com, East McDowell. Those who are in Phoenix, area can come out and grab some of those flyers to take back with you or to go out and pass them out. So thanks so much. As in you're dealing with sickness, God, I can pray for you, and I'm praying for you that God to give you quick healing. Sorry you're feeling under the weather. Make sure you take care of yourself and, get yourself better. We have plenty of flyers I can get out to you, or like I said, had a PDF out there. So you need to make sure you're healthy and ready to, be out there. So God bless you. And I hope you, like I say, feel better quickly. And I believe that because I know God is a healer. Thank you. Also, I have a question here from Barry again. Thank you, Barry. To your knowledge, did Weber employee and alleged FBI guy have any conversations? And I don't know. I don't know. And again, with this this whole narrative, like I said, about my son's disappearance is based on one guy's word, and that's the worker. That's the worker from Weber. The second part is the other guy. He said he was a federal law enforcement officer, and he came to me. Well, it actually came to me through my then search coordinator, my ex, former search coordinator. And like I said, hindsight now, I knew at the beginning something that didn't seem quite right with him. I did dismiss him off. He did talk to my investigator at the time, and also the coordinator. Those two together, I was relying on them. As you guys know, I'm very busy doing interviews, doing all kind of stuff. So my investigator's job to vet him. He told me he vet the guy's story. He even on my investigator at the time was on my family press conference. He knew what I was going to speak about, and he also agreed and corrected me a couple times in that family press conference that this guy was indeed a federal law enforcement officer. I believe that, put out the information about him, that he was one of the other person that saw my son last. I quickly, because of change of circumstances, information I found out about him, he now denied that he ever said that he was a federal law enforcement, though he showed me a badge and all that. And also the fact that now from Shiro's Nation and things like that, put some logic. I'm a very logical person. I like logics. And she said something that really made sense, as in how this guy said he saw my son through the sites, and then he talked to my son, and he was very, engaging and talked to his kids, and he directed him to the area where people normally where they go target practice at. And my son had never been there before in his life. He never been out there in that desert area right there in his life. He never been in Sun Valley Parkway and Cactus Road in his life. That's his first time out there. So how was it possible for him to be able to direct anybody anywhere? So that turned, when I heard that, and she makes a lot of sense. That also, and from other things before that just tied that into it. But the first thing was this guy had a story that he saw my son around 1. My investigator came out with a report that showed the vehicles first crashed around 1. He changed the story and said he saw my son around 10 that morning. So that then gave me suspicion. I had my radars up, but then, like I said, hearing from Shiro's Nation saying her question here on Q&A did alert me and say, hey, that makes sense. And that ties it all. I dismissed them all together. However, the Buckeye Police Department did dismiss this guy. In fact, when I was talking to Detective Biffin in January at my searches out there, actually it was on a weekday out there. I met them out there to try to search a well. He told me they vetted his story, and his story is credible on their behalf. So I beg to differ on that now. And so I rule him out of being any credible witness to seeing my son at all there. In fact, I look at him a lot different. I'm not going to say that difference, what that difference is, but you can probably infer what I'm talking about. I look at a lot of differences. This fact that he said he saw my son through the sights of his rifle the first time, and the second time he talked to him on the side of the banks of the Hasapa River, or the Wagner Wash, I think it was. So those type things brings up concerns. And again, there you go, Barry. I go way off from one question. So anyway, tea and wildflowers. Mr. Robinson, can you take all the discrepancies and use unusual circumstances to the FBI indirectly? And I said a lot to the FBI, right? And I don't want to. I try to not go there with a lot that I talked to the FBI. Because first of all, there's a lot of things that would be based on what I'm investigating on, but other things also that I'm definitely not going to burn no bridges with the FBI, because I definitely want to have them to look into my son's case. But I can say that it's kind of hard for me to understand the fact that I really recently found out my son's vehicles are right there on federal land, and the FBI is not part of my son's case. So I would think that just because a possibility of whatever happened to my son is on, and not even if it wasn't on their land, but which it is in such close proximity. I mean, literally, at first, before I found out where exactly at, from the mapping, it would have been that you take a few paces to the west, and you'll be on BLM land. That's how close that vehicle was. On our estimation from myself, my coordinator at that time, and myself. But I have gotten a recent map from the BLM lands, because I gave them the wrong coordinates at first, but I had to correct that. And according to that map, yes, his vehicle is sitting right in federal land. So that right there by itself is some cause concern for me, to why it's so hard for me to get federal help when I can watch some of these cases out there without effort. These families have FBI a long time ago. It don't take 11 months either. It don't even take 11 hours. They have the federal help in these cases. So, it's really hurtful to even have the streams I had to go through, and it's efforts I had to go through behind the scenes. People don't know half the things I had to do behind the scenes, but you know what? It's very stressful at times, and it do make you angry somewhat to really have to work so hard for something that you think you deserve in the first place. So, all right. Kathy, thanks for your question. Do you know who the last person that Daniel had spoken to was? And if so, have you been able to get in contact with that person? Well, the last person is the guy at the well, as far as I understand, the guy at the well site, the Weber Kenneth was the last person my son had contact and spoken to. So, that's the guy who's leading the narrative about what happened to my son's case. This is the guy that you don't see in the report that they brought in for questioning. When I talked to the Buckeye Police Department in the beginning, they say, hey, we talked to Ken. We talked to, we talked. Just like I'm having a conversation with you guys. He told me the story. They put in their report. Just like the young lady. We talked to her. And she offered up her text messages, and the officer left and told her where she could send it up to, upload it to, and she uploaded her own text messages in their report. So, that kind of thing. It wasn't no warrant for her text messages and things like that, and they pull it, they pull it themselves and all that. No, it didn't have the fact, you guys, and I want to go back into that because I do go off team and talk about other things outside the question. So thank you so much for that question. But the last person would be the guy at the well site. All right. Shauna B, thank you so much for thanks for being here, first of all, and being part of the team. But I'm going to read that from your comment and a bit ago. Don't you know if you can answer this? Did Daniel phone then show that Matrix called Daniel first before calling Ken? They instructed him to go after Daniel. I had to relook at that. I'm trying to get the question correctly. But yeah, that was a conversation with a few people. Daniel did have some conversation with a few people from that job via phone. Like I told you guys, Daniel's a field geologist. He rarely ever go into the office. What happens in that office, if the field geologists go there, they go there to just drop samples off. They have a little door, not even coming through the front door. They have a door that they come in and they'll drop it on this table, and then they're gone, right? So they told me verbally in meetings that they rarely ever see Daniel in the office. So all this, he making strange stuff. That's only one person who had constant contact with Daniel at the time would be one of his friends he hang out with after hours. And you guys know who that was. He is in the port, so he did have some things to say. What he says for me can be credible because I haven't been in the conversation between him and Daniel. So what he said, I can say that's a firsthand knowledge. But when it comes to whoever these employees is, Buckeye don't give you a name because they like to, like I said, I call it word games and to keep that narrative going. So from the comment you said, did Daniel phone then show that Matrix called Daniel first before calling Ken? And like I said, if I did had no offhand, I probably wouldn't be able to share it anyway, Shauna, because when I think about it, it'd be some of the things I do know about that because I do have access to all of that. But it's probably something I probably shouldn't share just yet because it may be something good. It's a good point, something I need to check into. And then they can go along with the timeline that I created to understand what happened with my son. So, all right. Oklahoma, thank you for your question. Did the red paint on the Jeep match the red paint on the water tank? I don't know what water tank you're speaking of, because I don't know what water tank you're speaking of. You said did the red paint on the Jeep match the red paint on the water tank? I don't know the water tank you're speaking of or referring to. There's only water tank or anything close to it being a water tank would be something in if you go south from this area here where the vehicles found, there's a quarry, a corral there. The rancher, he corralled his cattle in, and there's nothing red there. There's none of those tanks are red. There's no redness there at all. So as you're referring to water tanks, I'm not familiar with that. Anything red out there, any water tanks, any poles or anything like that. So thank you so much. All right, I do have a question here from Tracy. Thank you, Tracy, for coming in from YouTube. Could red paint transfer be from farm equipment? Hay loader, it could be. It could be, and that's the one things we have to determine where it came from. That's the reason I want the forensics done on it. And at the same time, I am doing some due diligence on my part. Like I said, the biggest part for me that I have going is a timeline. I utilize what Buckeye put in the report, and then I utilize the facts on the ground of what I've been doing since I've been in Arizona, and from timelines from there, I recorded phone calls with the department and things like that. I put all that together to create my timeline, the things I've done, and things I found out. And at that time, that's how you can find out where possibly Daniel's vehicle being and things like that. So it takes time. It takes a lot of time. And, I can admit that a lot of my time lately have been going towards awareness and things like that. I just talked to the team the other day and want to make sure that I'm really, really back on some of this timeline stuff. So, all right, we'll get the answers. All right, Shauna, thank you again for your question. And thank you also for being that moderator, team member, and board member, doing it all. With the time frame, then was Matrix already called. Sorry, I'm reading everything all crooked. With the time frame, then was Matrix already called. Then to know Daniel had left. So to possibly call Daniel and didn't get him, and did call Ken back to tell him to go look for him. I guess go look for him. I'm trying to get that answer. The time frame. I know you asked about the time frame. Was Matrix already called? I guess by Ken. I guess you're asking. To know if Daniel had left. So those are some of the questions that could be answered. I had to really deep dive into based on what I was told by his job. So like I said, I have meetings with them and I asked a lot of questions about what they can tell me, they remember, things like that. So as in the timeline, which came first, I do have that based on Daniel's phone records. Saying that's definitely something I have there. So to possibly call Daniel and didn't get him, I could tell you exactly how length of time. I just know that most voicemails, I think, is like 30 seconds or something. I'm not sure. Person leaving a voicemail, and you got to look at the time on the records. It tell you how long that phone call lasts, whether they answer the phone or not. How long that line been running and stuff like that. So you look at that and kind of make a determination if there's a voicemail or a phone call, something like that. So Ken said that the job called him. That's what he said on this Paramount thing, but he told me something different. Like I said, he deterred one of the other officers something different. So we'll see. We'll see which one is correct. All right. I do have a question here from Kathy. On the phone, the last person he spoke to, not Ken. Well, like I said, that's one of the things that may not be able to put out there, not because that would be part of the investigational part. But I can say that he did speak to Ken that morning to inquire, according, because with the timestamp, it's plausible that if he did talk to Ken, it was before he came up to the job. So, all right. And I do have a voicemail from Ken also before it was time for my son, to come to that job, also that job site itself. All right. Isn't it a felony offense to impersonate an officer? It sure enough is. Sometimes I ask myself the question about this guy, for him to say that he's a law enforcement officer. He said it to my investigator. And he also called me and told me that Buckeye, he was real excited too. He was real excited. Hey, David, guess what, man? Like, yo, stay, man. Buckeye said he finally going to take my statement. Like, he been trying. He told me when I first met him that he was trying to talk to the Buckeye Police Department and they was ignoring him. And so that's the reason why he came to me to try to tell me what he saw. The day that he talked to Buckeye Police Department, he did call me. And I'll be honest with you, he said he's getting off from work. He's going to do his lunch break, and then he's going to go up there. And he was on the road when he was calling me. He said, I'm going up there on the way up there to talk to the Buckeye Police Department, to give him my story, tell him what I saw. And I was really happy that he was doing that. And I told him, hey, call me right back when you get done and tell me how it went. I didn't hear from him for a couple of days. And I'll be honest with you, the first thing I thought was, oh, my God, Buckeye done locked him up or something, And for whatever reason, that's the first thing that came to my mind. But then I did finally hear from him later, and he still said, hey, it went okay. He was busy or something for the job, and he didn't get to call me back. But like I said, in the meantime, during the Christmas break and everything, I did learn some news about him, and also the fact that he's not a law enforcement officer at all. So, you can. And then he said the Buckeye Police Department claimed to have vetted this alleged federal officer. Yeah, they told me that in January. Detective Biffin told me, they vetted his story. And I said, then I point out this other thing that I found out. He said, oh, that has nothing to do with his story. His story is credible. We vetted that. So I accepted that. I accepted it with skepticism, but like I said, I still have some other things in my mind about him changing this timeline. But I say, okay, with Buckeye said that they must, well, at least the guy went up there and they checked the story out, and he was really like my investigator said, his phone was there showing he was out there in the desert. So I'm assuming they have vetted that way, that he's actually out there the day that my son was missing. And so I tried to weed myself to taking that, and then here goes a blessing to me when Shiro Nation asked that question, and that really threw all that off now, where I don't believe his story as it stands right now. So, all right. Anybody have any more questions? If you guys have any more questions, like Navy Girl, Navy Girl, 81, thanks so much for your question. Don't please put question marks there, big capital letter Q, or the word question in all caps, before you ask a question. They help me as I'm coming down. Has the gun range area that supposedly told someone where it was been searched? It's BLM land, actually. People, it's not a gun range out there. People just go out there and shoot their rifles. The terrain up there is up and down, and in some areas. But where they go out, they can't go on these private properties to do so. Where near half of where my son's vehicle was found, for instance, and then also they cannot go on state land or stuff like that. So. Or they may, I'm not sure with state land, but I do know federal land they can. So it's areas out there. Right here where my son's vehicle was here, west is federal land. It's BLM land. So they can shoot out there. What they do, they kind of find those hilly range. They set up their little setup or whatever they do, targets or whatever. And so it's one of those type deals. It's not something like a organization have a gun range sitting out there and something out there. So so it's all over the place. I wouldn't know where to look. That's what I'm trying to say. I wouldn't know where specifically to look, because we have been all over BLM lands. My searches cover all of that. It's covered that those areas too. BLM, private property, state, Maricopa County. There's different islands out there. Everybody got a piece of that area. It seemed like to me. Like I say, one part of Maricopa County take care. The other part, the state police take care. The other part, the federal law enforcement, which they told me Buckeye on that too. We'll take care of that for them, I guess. And also the other part, like I said, is Buckeye, where the most of the private lands is too. So it's all messed up. So like I said, we have been searching a lot of places all over that area. So I'm sure we covered those areas where he said he claimed he saw my son out there when he's target practicing. All right. Thank you, Gwen, for being here. Also, being part of the moderation and all the hard work you do and everything you do. I really appreciate you, and thank you for putting us up. Like and share Daniel's story. Subscribe. Help the algorithms keep the story going. Help the algorithms bring more participation. This is a Q&A, guys who have questions about my son's case and want to know some of these answers. That's what the Q&A is for. Again, I'm David Robinson. For those who probably just coming on the first time, I see some new names. I'm David Robinson, the father of geologist Daniel Cornelius Robinson. My son went missing on June 23rd in the desert of Buckeye, Arizona, doing his job. He is a geologist, graduated from College of Charleston, South Carolina, went out to Phoenix, Arizona, where he first got his first place there in Phoenix, Arizona, and immediately went straight into his job out of college with a company, engineering company called Matrix New World, also called Matrix Southwest Groundwater. And they hired him on as a field geologist, also called a hydro geologist. What he does is check the viability of wells. Like I said, for those who already know, these wells are out there in the desert area, most of them, some in the remote areas of the desert. A lot of times they want to build. Buckeye, for instance, is the fastest growing city in the nation. One of the fastest growing cities in the nation, but it is the fastest growing city in Arizona. And they're putting a lot of communities out there. So, but by law, these communities have to have wells. Those wells have to produce at least 100 years of water. And my son's job is very important, is to determine that, and also to check the viability of the wells, like say the rock settlements and things that come out of the well. He was doing his job that day. He went to 2 well sites, one at 7, and then he made it to the one he eventually go missing from. He met a guy named Ken from a company called Weber at that well site. And once he got the well site, they had this brief conversation. My son followed him into that well site. Once they got there, like I said, had another conversation about 10 minutes, according to that worker. Son ended up waving off to him, where this worker said that he just drove off, where my son had never been seen again. His vehicle showed up in this ravine behind me, on that bulletin behind me, in a 20-foot ravine on the side. His clothing, everything's wearing on his body. Supposedly, allegedly, his clothing was laying down 3 feet away from the vehicle in a pile. Everything from his underwear to his socks, everything is on the ground. And also inside the vehicle was a cell phone, the one that we were calling as a family for almost a little over 24 hours, calling constantly, trying to get in contact with Daniel before it finally started going dead. But, this Q&A is for you guys who have questions, who want to learn more about my son's case. And also to bring this channel is to bring awareness to my son's case, to get information out. We have upcoming events. I'm asking you guys to go to pleasehelpfinddaniel.com and look out for those upcoming events. We have some major ones that's coming up. And also, like I said, we do have the fast and prayer for Dane that's coming up on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday on the 25th. If you guys can join us in that, on that Q&A that morning, I will be praying, bringing in that fast and prayer. So you guys can join in with me. I really appreciate it. But please, the anonymous tip line is there. You guys can use that if you know something, heard something, you can say something. Like I said, you can stay anonymous. It's a paid tip line. I pay for that service. It's 24 hours, 7 days a week. Excuse me. Live operators will take your call. Like I say, you can remain anonymous. And if you don't want to speak to anyone, you can also just text the word tip to that number, but you still can remain anonymous. Again, so thank you so much for coming in to this Q&A. Listen in. I'm answering the questions. If you have any questions, please utilize the capital letter Q before you ask a question, or some question marks so I can see it as it coming down the comment section. Or like I said, big capital letter Q, or the word question like Janica done just now. Have the question there so I can find it. All right. Do you think you're getting any closer to finding Daniel? I always think that. I have faith in God. I have faith in I have faith in God, and I know that yes, the things I do know, I just need the forensics work done. I keep saying that over and over again. I'm pushing for that. It's a lot of answers I do have, very disturbing answers. But you know what? It's a lot of things I learned a lot. I'm just a father looking for my son, but I learned a lot. You find out a lot of information that you can't share with the public. You can't even share with. I have a team, and I can't share things with my team. And it's hurtful at times. So things I do know, and I have to keep it to myself. But I can share what I can share. But yeah, I have a lot of answers to basically what happened with my son on that day. Things that I think the department should have easily gotten themselves. For instance, one little thing I'd have shared with the public is that they had this little statement that the guy at the well site said my son said he was tired. It's two things he said. On Paramount, he said my son asked him, did he want to go back to Phoenix? Because he's asked him was he tired of going back to Phoenix. But what he told me is that my son, and what the officer saying to me, they're saying that my son said he was tired, right? Tired and want to go to rest or something or other. And then this guy on Paramount now changed to say he was asking him, did he want to go home and rest or something or other. So, but the point is, if they would have did a little work, detective work, instead of just immediately saying he's a grown man, if he want to leave, he want to, it's assumption, assuming stuff without hearing anything from my son or not listen to the family. They would have did a little work, police work. They would have looked at his information. They had his phone. So they would have got information that I was able to get provided to me, and know that it's possibility based on his phone that my son been working all night. We all know that he was doing Instacart. I found that out after the fact, though, after my son was missing, of course. And I told you guys the reasons why, I'm sure. But you know what? He was working. And if you was working a full job, another job outside, you're going to always be tired. I worked multiple jobs before, and I was tired. Going to college at one point, working almost 3 jobs, a job and a half, So you get tired. Of course, you want to go get some rest. It's nothing criminal or nothing wrong or weird or strange for a person to be tired to come to work and want to go home and get rest. A lot of you right now probably tired of this Q&A and want to go get some rest. So, so it's nothing wrong with that. It's being human. And so if they would do a little homework, that just shows me how slack a job they was willing to do instead of actually really digging into the reason why certain things and digging into the story. That's basically what I was going at. Digging into the story from this person who said he last seen my son. My son just left as well. So dig into that story really good and start asking these questions. All right. May 25th, fast and prayer for Daniel. Don't forget it. You guys, if you can, put that on your calendar. Don't forget the hashtag fast and prayer for Daniel. Really need that algorithm to keep going. And good morning, and thank you all for who's coming into the Q&A. I wanted to individually thank you like I normally do, but since I'm pressed for time, I just look for these questions. If you have questions, do what this person done here. Laura, thank you for being here. Ask your question on Facebook. Put the capital letter Q, the word question in all cap, or some question marks so I can see your question that's coming down. And I have moderators there. I have my team in the chats to answer some of your questions that I may not be able to get here that you don't put there, or give you information so you can look at some of those. You can tell who they are, the moderators there, give you some information and stuff like that, upcoming events or whatever the case may be. All right, Laura, I have a question here. Do you have Target? Location you want flyers placed? I started off that way. When I first started my flyer distribution, it was more, I called it a city search. And, and one of the biggest things I didn't know how to get it going. I was trying to reach out to certain people to get, like you say, get it targeted. And I couldn't get no movement for that. But God just told me, just like that old baseball movie, build it and they would come. And I was able to do so. From that, we went to homeless shelters to try to pass out flyers, things like that, because it was targeted. The targeted thing was homeless shelters more so because I didn't know what happened to my son. At the time, I didn't have the evidence. Some things I have now, and don't know what happened. You know what I'm saying? My son could escape the situation here, and it could be part of the homeless population or something. Even though I hear the ludicrous things, for instance, of your son may have joined the monastery, become a monk, was suggested by a detective from the department. And, I even checked the monastery that was in Arizona because of that. So I do have to think outside my own. I'm biased somewhat because he is my son. I need to be, but also had to put on the investigative hat and weigh all options. So, like I said, I had to make sure the flyers go out to these homeless shelters and also to these facilities like the mental health wards, to the hospitals and stuff like that. You can't get information, but you can give the employees flyers, and they may see a person fitting Daniel's description and say something. So to Buckeye, whoever. So yeah, as the targeted locations, no, I don't have that anymore. I graduated from having something targeted to being more broad. So I want everybody to just get the word out there. So we get flyers. This awareness is the biggest key. The reason why I say that, because there are going to be workers at a homeless facility or mental health ward or hospital. There's going to be people who just moved from one state to the other. There's going to be somebody related to another person. There's going to be some, but it serves a lot of purpose. Also, the awareness, awareness comes resources. We need resources here. I need to remain in Arizona. Need to, like I said, keep my boots on the ground. I need to provide all the stuff here to keep awareness going, like the flyers and things like that. Also need to get the searches back up and running and get the forensics work done. So it's a lot. It'll take some resources to get things done. So also comes with flyer distribution comes resources. That's one of the main things I have to keep rolling, keep going. So as in targeted locations, no, target location be everywhere. I want to hit every city, every state in this country to make sure my son's story get out there. All right. Thank you, Shiro's Nation again. I really appreciate you coming out again this morning. Your question with regards to pushback about the vehicle being on federal land. Are you familiar with Kimmy Gilstrap? No, I'm not. Her case caused controversy and exposed reckless shooting incident. I guess you have more questions. Oh, well, okay, yes, we'll continue. Okay, there it was a dispute about the land, and BLM was supposed either shut it down or have a safety plan. Check it out. And yes, I will. I want to make sure I don't have anything. And I hope my team members are there to be able to get that name of Kimmy Gilstrap. I will check into that, Shearer's Nation. And I don't know if you're on Twitter, but if you are, can you just send me an inbox out of that? Or you can use the number, the 200 number that you've seen stroll on the bottom before. You can use that number to give me a quick reminder of that. If you can, I really appreciate that. But yes, that's some ways I see sometimes these glorified, I call them glorified officers. Sometimes I get that from someone else too, using that terminology, that would kind of push things off to somebody else. It's like called kind of passing the bulk in a way. So yeah, definitely want to look into that because I work really hard to see if that vehicle is indeed on federal land, and then I find out so, and I'm still having a hard time. So, all right. Thank you again, Barry, for coming in with your question. Last part of my question where change is brought against alleged federal officer for impersonating an officer. I don't think so. Because the way the detective spoke to me, he made it sound like, hey, we just vetted stories, there's correct, and that's the end of the story. Even after that point, I did hear from, not directly, but I did hear from the guy, and of course he wasn't in jail or anything, so I don't know. And, you know, I think that would be one of the biggest parts too. Sometimes I wonder about this guy, who he really is, and things like that. But you know what? Yeah, you know, you would think that too. If a person impersonating a cop, yeah, that just should be. I think that may be even a federal, yeah, like I said, federal crime at that. So, yeah. So I really don't know. I don't know what happened to this guy. I haven't heard from him since then, and that's it. All right, Esther, thank you so much for being here this morning, and thank you for your question. Do you think the public know the real story from Daniel's case? You know, there's all kind of things out there about Daniel's case, from that Daniel's not even real, to I work for the government and this is a big conspiracy to throw us off about COVID. I heard it all. That, you know, it is so many stories, there's so many things out there. That's one of the reasons why I'm glad to have a Q&A also for people to, if they want to hear some story. And I look at some people being good. I look at some of the podcasts of people making videos and stuff about my son's case, and I just listen to some of this stuff, and it'd be so off wrong, even to the point that my son lived in, or he was born in Buckeye or something like that, or, you know, there's a case David is all wrong in the story. But, you know, a lot of people, like I say, have these channels to, you know, they do it for a living. This is not an entertainment channel. This is an information channel here. It's coming. I'm the father of Geologist Daniel Robinson. So I try to make sure I get the story out the best way I can, the correct way. And then he's put on here, I believe, Buckeye Police false narrative that they have put out in public has confused the public, and it sure did. I'm sharing to find Daniel Robinson, and I really appreciate that, Esther. You know, and it is, you know, one of the biggest things is all because, to me, my opinion. Now, I also have to put my opinion on there for legal reasons, because it is my opinion. I have the right to it. It's all to keep that narrative going. That, first of all, it was one part to me. Some things was tried to be a character assassination for my son. My son is a brilliant man. He's a scientist. He's a young man that's trying to go up in life. He has dreams, aspirations. So I don't really have to defend him, because I know who Daniel is. The other part is the confusion is when you know you didn't do the job right. They probably assume that I'm just like some dad, you know, that just came to town and they can tell me anything, and I would have moved on. That's why they gave me everything. I was gonna move on, take everything back to South Carolina, and just be done. Oh well, I can't find my son. We relied on the police department to do something, and they weren't gonna do nothing anyway. And in the story. But the fact is that I stayed here. I formed my own searches. On the ground, we started finding human remains. Things just started building up. Then it started going national. So they're gonna try to do everything they can to keep this narrative that they was right the whole time. That Daniel somehow rode around the desert for 30 days and decided to wreck his vehicle down in this ravine, took his clothes off, and disappeared for life. Because according to them, it'd be more like he did all this on purpose on his own, just so he could get away from his family and join the monastery and become a monk. Because he didn't want to tell his family, he just wanted to leave life. He went out in a dramatic way, you know what I'm saying? Some kind of way. I'm going to leave life in this dramatic way. So, you know, that's what you have to believe anything they got in the report. And that's the reason why some people come to me and read that report. I don't read it anymore. People say, hey, this is a report. I don't know, and it is. And they say, oh, they say they did this, and but then when they say they did this, it contradicts something else they said. So there's some of those things I'll be talking about pretty soon. I have a team of people. John Q is one of them. Some of the people that really notice those type deals, and they report it back to me. So we'll be talking about those things in that report. I probably would do one here on this Q&A. Let's go through their report. And like I said before, they gave me a final report. The report I have is unredacted, but it's a final report they gave me when they told me they didn't have a case. They told my investigator wasn't investigating, and they turned the black bottle data to him and gave us everything. You know, I went through their report one time before. That's why I said I don't listen to it, because there's a bunch of falsehoods there. I said, hey, I'm teared apart. And sure enough, when I compare the original report that they gave me to what they have now, they changed sentences to paragraphs to whatever to try to fit that narrative. They squeeze it in to try to fix what you can't undo what you already wrote, things like that. So, but they squirming, and the only thing they're doing is putting themselves in a deeper hole. They're trying to squeeze their way out of what they haven't done and what they're not doing. Because all those things they saying on there are a bunch of words. Some words is not actions. So, and people starting to ask those questions and really look into that report and really digging into it. You have some people, like I said, they just deep dive into every detail about that report, and it is confusing when one thing they keep putting things in that just don't make sense and don't add up. All right, Jenica, questions. Is there any kind of research the public can help you with? Well, one thing is I really, one thing I remember my first investigator, he and I used to always talk about this thing when it first jumping off. Is there was a lot of investigators out there. I had people from California coming in, from everywhere. I was like, oh, I'm this investigator from this law. I had one told me that some folks told me that Kim Kardashian talked to their attorneys, and their attorneys hired them to come out and help. I'll smile about it because I hear it all. And they come out and doing their own investigations. But what's been happening is it's been causing problems. Sometimes people think they're helping, but really hurting things. For instance, I had even come with this guy say he seen my son last. This other federal. So this guy, he was. That's why I got some information about him from a YouTuber. A guy from the YouTube channel decided to come out to one of my searches that I wasn't a part of. My search coordinator handled it for me. I wasn't able to because I had to leave town to go check on things back in South Carolina. And this YouTuber guy went out there and got some information, right? Instead of him telling me himself, I heard it from my search coordinator. And to make a long story short, I was vetting this person, the federal guy that called himself a federal law enforcement. I'm vetting the person, getting information, all the information I can about what he said he saw, this and that, blah, blah. So I probably would have got more information is what I'm saying. But he went out and just put this man's information all out in the public and started talking about this and doing that. And then the man shut down. Like I said, I didn't get to talk to him again because of this YouTuber, right? Stuff like that tears up the case. And in other words, some people's going out trying to do their own interview for the workers at Matrix and stuff. Someone was out there threatening them and stuff like that, threatening their families and all kind of stuff. And, so I don't ask people to do anything from the public, do anything concerning my son's case, as in investigating and whatever the case may be. That's not, I'm a father. It's my right to investigate my son's case. He's my son. And it's the job of the law enforcement to do so, them also as well. But when it comes to other people, I'm asking people, no, don't do that, because the only thing what happens is they impede it to a point where nobody won't talk to me. Saying I'm trying to find answers about my son, so it kind of hurts things and stuff like that. So I don't ask people to go out there. And if I'm answering your question correctly, is there any kind of research the public can help you? Well, all the research outside of investigating would be find out information about that I'm looking for. I do have a team. A team is very capable. They're doing a very good job. But other things, people threw out, like young ladies threw out information, Shields Nation, about someone dealing with the BLM land, for instance. Things like that helps out. If people want to help out by giving me information like that, then yes, I'm all for that. That really helps a tremendously a lot, because I don't know everything. Like I said, I'm learning as I go. I don't have the resources, the manpower that the FBI, though the Buckeye Police Department told me that the FBI said to them when they did the case review that Mr. Robinson is doing such a great job. I guess I'm doing better than they are. That they don't have to come in. They come to my son's case, and they say that's coming from the FBI, that I'm doing such a great job. But I can tell you, I'm doing the best I can as a father. But I don't have the resources that law enforcement have. I don't have the manpower that law enforcement have, and I don't have equipment and technology and all that stuff that law enforcement have. So I'm relying on agencies like the FBI to really come in and find out some information and find out what happened to my son. Research-wise, yes, you can help out in those areas, but if it comes to trying to, research and get information from people who may be a suspect or something, or a witness or something like that, no, I don't ask people to do that. That's not ever coming from me. All right, thank you so much. All right, I have Gwen here. Visit pleasehelpfinddaniel.com. Multiple ways you can help. Flyer distribution, and you can sign the petition, and also you can donate. Thanks so much, Gwen, for putting that up. You guys, if you have any more questions, I do have. If you have any more, please do as Shauna saying here. You can you have any more questions, start with a capital letter Q, the word question, or a question mark, so I can find your question as I'm coming down the comment section. All right, I do have a question here from Laura. Laura from Facebook, thank you again. Do you plan to do any more ground searches? Yes, I am. I cannot leave my son behind. Laura, everybody, that was probably the most devastating. It's still the devastating decision I had to make, is to pause my searches. And I really love my team for giving me the right wording, because that's exactly how it is. It's a pause. It's not a stop. It's not a quit. It's not any of that. Sometimes that don't stop me from going to search for my son myself, but it stops me from pausing me from asking others to go out there with me to search for my son. And reason why I did that, like I said, the organized search is on pause. It don't cost me a dime for me to go out there on myself on a weekday, which I don't tell people when I do things like that, to go out there and look and do some research, investigative research, or to go out there and search an area with a small group of people. If I do, I haven't done it yet, to really go out there and look at a certain spot or something. But as it stands for the coordination part of it, organized part of it, yeah, I had to put a pause on it. It is very hard. It must have took me a while just to even now, to even get over the thought that I had to put a pause on the search after all these weeks and months of doing so. My son could be out there. As y'all can imagine, Laura, I've been finding, my searches have been finding human remains out there. We've been closer to other people's family, but my son, if he's out there, he's still out there. And the manner that we found these remains out there, it disturbs me, because the only thing I can see in my brain and my eyes is my son lying on that ground. And I don't want the same fate that I've seen these other families members going through to be my son out there lying on the ground that way. So yeah, I need to search those areas, and I will continue to push to get organized searches. And I need them bad. The organized searches brings the razors to the drones to the line searches, what we call the hasty searches. All those things are in combination are important, because that's how we found those human remains. That's how we actually did our jobs outside of what law enforcement done. And on the searches they have done out there, they came empty-handed. And I often like to say it over and over again, they haven't even found a construction cone out there, but we're finding human remains. We're finding articles of clothing. We're finding this, we're finding that, cell phone, this whatever, because we're actually doing some real searching out there. And those research, those kind of searches actually utilize resources. So if yes, remember, I'm trying to help you coordinate people on foot, and I really appreciate it, with drones, ATVs, and I have a group research ready to help. And I think I did remember you before coming on, Laura, and thank you so much. And if you can get in contact with me with the number, I'm going to put it back on the bottom of the screen here again. I don't know if you have or not. If you did, I can tell you again that sometimes it takes me a little while as I'm coming down those. You can do it that way, or you can go to pleasehelpfinddaniel@yahoo.com. You can email me there. Please help find Daniel. I need to probably put that on the bottom also with that phone number under contact me, 803-200-7994. And you also can email me so we can coordinate that, what you're speaking of, on pleasehelpfinddaniel@yahoo.com. So you can also utilize that email address to contact me. So I look forward to working with you. Yes, I do have a foundation coming that's already been filed, and we'll be doing some things with the foundation to help search, help those efforts, and also and also help other families. So thank you, Laura. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate the offer and to help. All right. All right. If anybody have any more questions, please utilize the word question, the question marks, so I can find your questions. I'm coming down the comment section. And everybody who's saying things in the chat, I really would like to engage with that. But thank you so much for being here. A lot of you, I see some new names. I do want to kick out one real quick. I'm not going to be able to get the comment, but I want to say you, Janelle, thank you, Janelle Potter. Thank you for being here off of Facebook. I really appreciate that. So thank you for being part of this Q&A. And all of those who are first timers coming on, thanks so much for being here. And if you can, please, by all means, we got the May 25th fast and prayer. Ask you guys to join it, but please make sure you hit that like, share, and subscribe button if you can. Those who just coming out for the first time, that will help the algorithms grow this channel, get this channel out there. So if you guys can do that for me, I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it because that's I put on the bottom screen there. Like, share, and subscribe. You can do that. You got me at 1,000 subscribers already, and that's huge. So give me some other avenues and little things I can do on this channel. Gizzle K again did give me the tools, and I still haven't go through. She gave me a full video of things and a personal video she gave for me to utilize some the way to better utilize this channel. I just didn't have time to this date to really go through everything that she's teaching me about how to utilize this channel a lot better. And so I will at some point be able to do that. And then I have more content on here and things like that. Some other things I can do. But right now I'm just information sharing and also taking your questions and things like that. So, all right. And like I said, I do have one question here from Janica. Thank you again. Does Daniel have any metal in his body, like implants, fillings that could be picked up by a metal detector or ring? Not that I know of. Definitely don't have any implants and things like that. Fillings, I don't know. No, Daniel do go to the dentist, so as in fillings, I wouldn't know about that part. But metals and things like that, I know you don't have those. So, but that's one of the things metal detectors was given to me, advice for a lot of people. Hey, you need to get some metal detectors out there. And that's some of the equipment I wanted to get. Like I said, I wanted those specialized drones for a long time. I just started relying on just trying to ask for, just like I believe Janelle. So just being able to, be able to get those type of equipment out there. I really needed those equipment out there, but like I said, I relied on a lot of nonprofit organizations out there. A lot of people's asking me about EquiSearch a lot, and I know it's going to come up again eventually. Say, hey man, did you try EquiSearch? Yes, I have. I tried them many times, not just one time, but many times. But I did get, like I said, an answer back from Dave Rader. You guys know about that before. But none of nonprofits was able to come out and really help help out at all. I haven't seen any come out to any of the searches to date, but I did reach out to many of them. But like I said, I do have a nonprofit, and God's willing, it'll make a big difference to a lot of families. I know it's going to make a difference for my family in search of my son. But it's definitely make some changes, and some help for other families. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity that God gave to be able to help other people. In our pain, my family's pain, was able to be able to have something else going. So, all right, I think that's all for the Q&A. I don't see any more questions. I will have Q&A again on Monday. Please tune in on that. We have some information that we'll be sharing and things like that this coming Monday. Some very important stuff. If you guys want to tune in, please do. Please come out to that Q&A. And I would like to share some things with you now, but those things will be shared on Monday Q&A. So please, by all means, please come out and get the information. Also, look on pleasehelpfinddaniel.com on the events tab on the front page. There'll be some information there as well. Just stay on top of that. You guys continue to engage with the policehelpfinddaniel.com website, and you get your information there. I was waiting to see if my team was going to throw something up there that I may have forgotten in the chats there. But if there's anything else, like I said, just keep following up policehelpfinddaniel.com for all the information that is coming up. And don't forget, like I said again, on the 25th, the fast and prayer. Thank you, Gwen, for putting that up. Continue to share Jane's story, and please use that hashtag fast and prayer for Daniel. It's not just for Daniel, but it is for Daniel. I'm asking God to give me answers to find my son. It's been 11 months in 3 more days. It's gonna be 11 months that my son has been missing, and I really have to find him. Sooner than later. I'm hoping to find him before this year mark. It's pressing down on my family and myself. That is coming up to a year. It's a very depressing moment. It's depressing every day. Reporters starting to ask the questions, hey, what's going on this year anniversary? They would like to call it. So some of those things are being asked of me now. And, so it's always a constant reminder that, yeah, your son is going on the year that your son has been missing. It's been going on the year since the last time I heard my son's voice. Last time his mother heard his voice touch his hand, and just spoke to speak to him and hear his voice. So it's very difficult just even to imagine that any family, just like ours, they have to go through something like that. So just keep us in your prayers. Keep our family in your prayers. The young lady, I forgot your name. You say he was on the weather. I'll keep you in my prayers. Like I said, God is a healer, and I know He'll heal you really quickly. But just keep on take care of yourself and make sure you do that before you come out to those flyer distributions. So I'd rather for you to be safe than anything else. So, but thank you again, guys, for coming on to this Q&A. Waited for a little while to see if my team had something to say on there, but I'm getting ready to end this Q&A. But thank you so much for being here. You really mean a lot to me. God bless you. I love you all for just being a part of this Q&A, showing your love back to me and my family, and being a support. Hope to see you soon. God bless.